So let me point out that there is congressional oversight of our activities, including our monetary policy.
Beyond that, which is in the legislation.
To the extent that GAO is a part of that, that's an area where I think we would like to continue to work with the Congress. We don't have a specific idea at this point that I'm prepared to put forward, but we would like to continue a discussion about whether there's ways that our implementation of policy and or the operational integrity of our implementation might be something that could be reviewed.
I'm not an expert on all of your powers, but this whole 13.3 business seems to be the area where all this is really started. It started for Dr. Paul a long time ago, but for a lot of the rest of us, in terms of some of the lending and things that you are doing, I would encourage you to continue your discussions of what you are willing to do in terms of transparency. I don't know if this legislation is going to be part of a greater bill or even have a chance for passage or whatever, but I think there is a need by the public to know this. I think the transparency helps in terms of support of your policies and of the dollar and things that you are concerned about. And my hope is that this won't just go away, that the Federal Reserve will continue to look at it very seriously and understand that members of Congress are concerned about this as well, whether legislation passes or not. I yield back to balance my time, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, gentlemen. Mr. Sherman from California is recognized for 5 minutes.
Nobody in my district thinks that the Fed has done such a wonderful job of running the economy that we should continue to cloak them in secrecy for the purpose of protecting them from second-guessing. Second-guessing criticism is kind of what goes with being in government. Mr. Alvarez, we've talked a lot about 13.3. Let's say next year the entire Federal Reserve Board comes to you and says, look, Congress won't pass TARP 2. They won't pass any new legislation. The economy is going to melt down. We're going to be eating rat meat in the streets if you don't agree, because you're the general counsel, that we can use Section 13.3 not just to invest in no risk or virtually no risk instruments, but to invest in what we think is kind of the equivalent of a single A instrument. Under those circumstances, would you agree that 13.3 could be used to make modest risk investments? So this is equivalent of single A investments.
So, Congressman, we don't make investments in that way. Under 13.3. 13.3 allows us to lend against
okay. Many people use the word investment to describe a loan, but I'll recast my question, say to make loans that have the same risk as associated with a single A bond.
So we do lend today against a whole variety of collateral that includes collateral that's a variety of ratings and some collateral that's not rated. So we lend against other loans, for example, that are not rated.
Sir, don't get tied up in my use of the term single A. I'm trying to use that to describe a level of risk. So the question is, do you have to be absolutely fully secured, or will you take the kinds of lesser security for which investors usually demand, private investors usually demand 3, 4, 5% above LIBOR?
So we typically, we are required by statute to be secured to our satisfaction. That's in 13.3. And so I would expect that we would be fully secured.
Sir, I'm asking you what's legal.
And I'm explaining that.
You're telling me what is the practice. Is it illegal for your board to make an investment that is not fully secured? To make a loan that is not fully secured under a liberal interpretation of Section 13.3?
It is required by statute that we be secured to the satisfaction of the lending reserve bank. So the question you're asking is, would it be possible for a reserve bank to feel secure without having 100% collateral? That has never been the case. So,
but it might you would not tell them that they did something illegal if they had something less than full security?
The point of being secured is to be guaranteed repayment. So if there were other ways to guarantee repayment, for example, sometimes credit is guaranteed by a third party.
Well, I'm looking at the
Sometimes there's
entire
insurance behind
investment.
it.
There are many credit enhancements for investment. There's security, there's guarantees, and the market has a way of looking at the entire package. There's some loans that are at LIBOR, there's some that are at LIBOR plus 8. The language of finance allows me no words to describe except what a private investor would demand. I'm asking you, would significantly less than the kind of security that LIBOR or LIBOR plus 1 loans are made be legal under 13.3? And I'm asking for a yes or a no answer rather than a description of what you think they would do.
It's not easy to give a yes or no answer to that question.
So
That's a very nuanced
what you're saying is you might very well allow them to do the equivalent of buy $1 trillion worth of junk bonds if they thought that was adequate security under the circumstances.
If they thought they would be fully repaid by the loan, in the loan that they made, and it was secured, then yes, that would be the right answer.
Sir, when you invest, we deal with probabilities in finance. People who buy junk bonds expect to be repaid, but they expect there's a risk. And you're saying that if they expect with a 51% chance of being repaid, what?
No, I'm not. As we pointed out, this isn't about investing. It's about lending. So you have to be in a position to be fully repaid.
Gentleman's time has expired.